Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Whatever your time zone, welcome. This is AI Talk, and I am your host, Kevin Crane. Welcome to the show. Today, we'll be discussing the topic of unleashing your creativity and innovation with AI. Now, artificial intelligence, of course, is rapidly transforming how we work, but also how we think and create and innovate. It's no longer just a tool for automation or data crunching. AI is becoming a powerful partner in the creative process as well, helping us uncover new ideas, accelerate product development, and bring innovations to market faster than ever before. Indeed, according to a report from McKinsey, organizations that adopt AI in their creative and product development process are 3 times more likely to report revenue growth over their peers. That is a striking signal that creativity powered by AI is not just a possibility, it's quickly becoming a competitive advantage. So, in this session, we'll explore 3 key areas to consider, starting with establishing benchmarks and KPIs that measure the long-term value of AI-powered creative initiatives. It's not enough just to be innovative, you've got to prove it, and we'll talk about how leading organizations are setting meaningful success metrics and tracking the real impact of AI on their creative output. Next, we'll talk about using AI tools to actually enhance our creativity and identify innovation opportunities. We'll explore how generative AI and other emerging tools are helping teams spark new ideas and uncover opportunities that might have been overlooked otherwise. And finally, we'll talk about fostering cross-functional collaboration. Innovation, as we know, doesn't happen in a vacuum, and we'll discuss how AI can serve as a unifying force across departments. So it should be a good session today. We're going to dive in, but first I want to say thank you to everyone attending today, and that includes the folks that are joining us live on LinkedIn. Hello there. And hello to everyone joining us today on Zoom. Thank you all for being with us. During our discussion today, we'd like to hear from you too, so I'd like to encourage everyone attending today to participate. Just join in with your comments in the chat section. If you have a question along the way, just jump on in. I will attempt to get some of your questions into the flow of the show, and we welcome your contributions. All right, let's bring aboard our great panel of guests today, starting with Christopher Whiteley. Christopher is the Senior Director of Product Management Data Science at Comcast. Chris, are you with us?
I'm here.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Chris, welcome aboard. Thank you for being with us today. Where are you calling in from, Chris?
I'm calling in from New York.
New York, the city that never sleeps. I don't think I slept the whole week I was there last summer. So thank you for being with us today, Chris. Also joining us today is Ravi Chandu Umbadasetti. Ravi is Generative AI Technical Architect and Product Lead at Toyota North America. Ravi, welcome aboard. Where are you calling in from today?
Hey Kevin, can you hear me?
Indeed, yes, indeed, Ravi.
Yeah, I'm calling from. I think my hometown is Dallas, but right now I'm in Portland.
You're in Portland. No kidding. So am I. I'm here in Portland, Oregon as well. Welcome to Portland. Great to have you on board. Also joining us today is Yemi Alusian, Program Director and Business Transformation Strategist at the Change Hive. Yemi, welcome aboard. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, Kevin. Good to see you again. I'm in London today.
London. All right, very good. Well, thank you, Yemi, and everyone for being with us today. It should be a good session today, and I'd like to start our discussion by drawing our attention to an article published on Medium by author Mark Briggs titled Innovation Management KPIs Measuring Creativity and Impact. Now, the article emphasizes the critical role of key performance indicators, or KPIs, in steering innovation within organizations. Now, the article outlines 10 functional areas where KPIs are essential, and these KPIs help us align our innovation activities with strategic goals and foster a culture of continuous improvement. I'm wondering what you folks think about this article, and Yemi, what are your thoughts about the article?
Kevin, I thought it was a great article. I think it's important I like the focus on measuring innovation and also suggesting potential metrics that could be used because, as the famous saying goes, you can only manage what you can measure, right? So without measurements, we don't really know if we're progressing or not progressing. So completely all for it. Um, Yeah, so I like the tone of the article. I like the suggestions as well. I think one thing I'd probably like to add is I think also tracking the adoption of the tools, because I think for me the key in all this conversation, right, is it's tempting to just innovate for innovation's sake, but it's not to forget the foundational point of necessity being the mother of all invention, right? So it's making sure that we don't just get caught up in all the AI and new technology and just throwing different things out there, but making sure we don't lose sight of the problem that we're solving. And then once we think we've solved the problem, being able to go back and say, what's the problem? This is what we think the solution was. How are we tracking? Have things changed, or are we now better as a result of that solution? So I think by and large, great article, but I'd just like to add the focus on making sure that we don't lose sight of the reason of why we're driving innovation in the first place, right? We could just be innovating for innovation's sake, which is not really ideal, in my opinion.
Great point, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to dig into that a little bit more here in a moment. Now, Chris, the article also highlights the impact of digital transformation, noting that technologies like AI and machine learning enhance the precision and actionability of innovation KPIs. Chris, what were your thoughts on the article?
Yeah, Kevin, I liked how specific it was. I think when a lot of organizations think about KPIs, they're thinking at a very broad level, like what's the revenue goal, what's the cost goal, and how are we doing towards that? This really showed that you can use KPIs in a variety of different, very specific ways for innovation, and then also tied in AI as part of that. I think some people, in the innovation space might be a little overwhelmed at the amount of KPIs they could choose from, but I think if we view AI as a partner in those innovation efforts, it will actually help most cases. One challenge might be you have teams do a lot of different innovation projects and you want to find the right place for them. Well, maybe AI can help summarize what's been done and almost serve as a matchmaker for different parts of the organization.
Well, good point, and we will have an opportunity to dig into this idea of KPIs in the creative and innovation space in a moment. Uh, Ravi, what are your impressions of the article? Did it miss anything important that we should be considering?
Yeah, I think in the I think we have to ask in this experiment of moving the needle of user value, right? So is it user value or a revenue or any differentiation? These KPIs are just not just performance metrics, but they bridge they are a bridge between innovation and the impact. So I think we should consider about the strategic alignment that keep us focused, and it ensures our innovation is not just creative but also consequential.
The article is Innovation Management KPIs, Measuring Creativity and Impact. The author is Mark Briggs. There is a link here in the chat feature if we'd like to know what you think about this article, folks. Go ahead and take a look at the article. Does it cover interesting areas that will impact your work in KPIs and innovation, or did it miss something important that we should also be considering? So I'd like to invite you to take a look at that article and let us know what you think. All right, well, folks, this is great because it leads us directly into our first discussion point today, and that is establishing benchmarks and KPIs that measure the long-term value of AI-powered creativity and creation initiatives. As Yemi mentioned, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. A Deloitte 2023 survey revealed that only 30% of companies have established KPIs specifically for AI innovation initiatives. Yemi, in your point of view, what KPIs or success metrics do you recommend for tracking the value of AI-driven creativity initiatives? Yemi, I believe you. There we are.
I think all the ones suggested on the article are great starting points. For me, I think the key one is what I alluded to at the start, right? Is really being clear on what the problem is to be solved, right? So I think for me, the concern is making sure that we're taking into account the voice of the customer. Can you hear me okay? The voice of the customer and also the voice of key stakeholders into any innovation type conversation, right? So it's being clear on what the business processes, what the problems are, first of all, and then prioritizing them and then making sure that the innovation is addressing the key problems. So we're not just innovating in the vacuum, right? So it's, I don't know how you. I'm still looking for the phrase. I'm sure you want a coin for me. Like, what's the key metrics? I think the metric here would be, I don't know, again, probably ROI, but more like impact. So impact. So it's impact metrics. So it's, if we solve this problem, what's the impact on the organization? So being able to quantify all the key problems or the bottlenecks we've identified. What's the impact of solving this on the organization? Having that as an initial priority first, and then using that as the starting point to then work out, okay, so this is the key priority. Let's all work together to solve this potential issue. Because what I find, or the challenge we're seeing now, is what AI has been great for actually has been, it's helped to break up the silos, right? Is because one thing AI is good for is taking all the data from all the different teams. So you have products saying a different thing, operations, and all speaking different languages. But now, thanks to AI, we can put everything together, crunch the data, and find the common threads and trends. I think with that as a starting point, then prioritize what are the key potential problems, and then start the KPI process with that first, would be my initial suggestion, is prioritizing the problem cases before
Oop,
we kick off.
did we lose me? Yemi, you froze it there for a moment. All right. Let's have let's take a look at Yemi and see if there's something we can do about Yemi's connectivity issues. But I'd like to move on to Chris now, if I may. Now, Chris, the article mentioned a number of areas where KPIs can be essential. Some of them are idea to market cycles, innovation, culture and engagement, innovation investment ROI, and others. It seems to me that these may be areas that can be difficult to manage. Chris, how do we measure, I should say, how do we measure these sort of more conceptual areas for KPIs when it comes to AI and creativity?
Yeah, so building off of what Yemi said, I think after you kind of establish why innovation is important and how it could help the customer, there needs to be an internal focus on encouraging that innovation. So I think from the executive leader level, you need KPIs or goals on innovation and what would expect out of an innovation program. You need that support for the innovation program. And then you can start measuring things like what's the involvement in the innovation program, like the number of people participating, the level of engagement, the amount of ideas that are generated, how many of those ideas make it from a proof of concept to a production project. These are all things that I think it's, as your innovation program matures, that you can establish and track. But it's really important to have like the support of the organization in order to kind of put aside your day-to-day tasks of managing products and services and focus in on that improvement. So I really think innovation is part of everyone's job in some ways. It shouldn't just be an innovation team. And we really need that cross-functional collaboration in order to really improve products and services that might delight the customers.
Those are interesting approaches to KPIs, and you're kind of hinting at the fact that we may need to spend a little different type of time and attention on these things than we have in the past, a little bit more creative, perhaps in our thinking process when it comes to KPIs, because we're really measuring things that we perhaps haven't measured before. All right, now, Ravi, I'd like to get your take on all of this. You're with Toyota North America and a generative AI technical architect. From your point of view, what kind of KPIs do you use to measure the impact of generative AI on creative processes, product processes? What can you tell us kind of under the hood, if you will, with Toyota?
Yeah, I think from my perspective is one is we should create impactive metrics in terms of idea conversion rate, like the percentage of AI generated ideas that progress to prototype or production. That's one thing we should really take care of. And the next one is what is the differentiator I would say, kind of a design differentiator index that you're trying to create for these generative AI projects, especially from taking feedback from users, reviews about the innovation that we're trying to work on in terms of product design that we are doing, as well as some of the retrieval document generation chatbots that we're trying to build at Toyota as well. So that's one thing. And the other one is long-term velocity, like long-term innovation velocity that we need to take care of. For example, the AI, I mean, I am enterprise AI team at Toyota, where we have built a lot of chatbots across Toyota. So number of ongoing completed projects utilizing generative AI over a next 12 to 36 months horizon. We need to check all these respective metrics, as well as how broadly AI is adopted across R&D, manufacturing, and other sectors across Toyota, and then see how we can able to bring up more participation from respective team members in AI.
I'm curious. I'd like to put this out to the entire group. So Chris, Ravi, and Yemi, please just jump in. I'm curious now, how do we ensure that AI complements human creativity rather than replacing it or limiting it, especially in the context of business transformation? Any suggestions on how our audience might approach that? Anyone?
Sure, I can take it up. So I can give an example of how AI is really helping Toyota standpoint. So in manufacturing production line, if a production line stops, we stop manufacturing cars. So what we have built is we have built a project called GearPal, where it will help enable the engineers on ground who are solving issues for the manufacturing production line. Let's say if there is any production line that have issue, the engineers will go ahead on the production line and then say, okay, ask this GearPal and say, I'm having an issue at this plant, and then I'm having an issue at this location. Can you help me resolve it? So the generative AI chatbot uses retrieval augment generation in the back end, and then extracts the information out of it, and then gives you the answer in like 1 to 2 seconds, like maybe 10 seconds max. But whereas a human needs to spend time in resolving the particular issue, and then in that span of time, the production line will stop. So that is where we're losing a lot of dollars. So this is where generative AI is really helping engineers on ground to extract, to enable them to build more advanced technology.
We are here talking about how to unleash your creativity and innovation with AI. And folks, we have a question or a comment coming in from our audience I thought would be interesting at this point in our discussion. This one coming from Ruslan. I hope I'm saying that right. Ruslan, thank you so much for your contribution today. Ruslan is asking asking, how can we use AI tools to help spot new opportunities we might not think of on our own? I think this is a great question. Does anyone have some suggestions for Ruslan on this?
Well, I've experimented a little bit with the AI brainstorming tools. And while you might be able to get a group together and spend the whole day doing brainstorming about an idea and generate these ideas, you could have a general topic area and generate hundreds of potentially good ideas, including ones that you might not have already considered. So that kind of speeds up the process to identify things that teams might think are worth developing further. Some of these brainstorming tools are also kind of designed for this collaboration between the AI and humans. So once an idea comes up that is interesting, humans can then just add onto it and build the idea from that.
Occurs to me that one KPI we might measure is indeed how many new opportunities have we identified? How many new ideas for new opportunities have we identified? Then measure that as a part of just the creative churn of the organization. Emmy, do you think that makes sense?
I actually find that AI is not necessarily good at creating new ideas per se. I find
Really?
that
How
it's
so?
helpful refining. I feel like human beings still need to be in the driver's seat prompting it correctly and providing it with the right data. I find when you kind of leave it to itself and say, create something new, it's still not, we don't, it's still machine learning that we have, right? It's not so much AI, to be fair. Like most of what we're calling AI is really still machine learning. So it's refining what we already have put into it and seeing the patterns and the hidden, ideas. So I still find that the best ideas have come from putting in the right data and prompting it correctly. So a good example has been for us around retention, right? So most of our focus is on helping or partnering with B2B businesses to improve client retention. And one of the common problems that causes churn is poor client experience and also slow client outcomes, right? So a client comes on board to your service, they're really excited when they pay. It's like, yeah, this is going to change my life. And a day passes, 2 day passes, 3 day passes, they haven't seen any results, microwave generation, they start to lose faith and faith starts to drop. So it's how can you really increase that time to value, number one, and also how can you improve the client
Mm.
onboarding process so that they are aware of what is happening and they're not kind of left in the dark and not sure what's happening. And so they kind of are left to their own imagination, which isn't always a good place to be. So what we found is by putting in heat maps, so installing heat maps on the apps and on the website, we can see where the friction points are, right? So we can upload all of that data into AI, and then also like the support tickets as well of common complaints. So we start to see the pattern of where problems and friction tends to happen. By getting that data, because the challenge pre-AI or pre-machine learning stuff was it was very scattered, right? So trying in a big organization, trying to analyze product, analyze operations, you're doing it all in silos. So you're not really getting the full holistic picture. But now with AI tools, we're now putting all of that into this machine learning tool and it's coming up with key patterns of
Mm.
where to fix the onboarding process. And by cleaning that up, we're finding retention is improving, right? So clients are hanging around longer because they are now in the loop of what is happening and they're no longer in the dark. And so adoption is higher, routine forms, and so they're happy to leave you good reviews and refer customers as well. So that's how we've used it to spark creativity. So it's more as a partner, not so much as the initiator of the idea in my experience, but maybe we're not using it fully.
This is AI Talk, and we are here today with Yemi Alusian, Ravi Chandu Umadaseti, and Chris Whiteley. We're talking about unleashing your creativity and innovation with AI. And folks, this is a great discussion, and thank you, Ruslan, again for your comment and question today, because it leads us to our next discussion point, and that is using AI tools to enhance creativity and identify innovation opportunities. It's no longer just about innovation or automation. Innovation is becoming a key driver for AI. According to a 2024 Gartner report, 73% of organizations using AI tools in the creative process have seen a significant increase in idea generation and time to market acceleration. Chris, can you share a specific example of how your team at Comcast is using AI to enhance creativity in product development or customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, so AI, I think first that's to be defined broadly. So AI from what would be like classified as discriminative AI, which is essentially using machine learning models versus generative AI. So I think machine learning AI has been used in the process of both automation and allowing users to focus more on creative tasks rather than things that might be eating up their time for a long time now, and it's kind of improved products in that fashion. And now I think generative AI really just makes that even better right now. I mean, you can I think the number one application in the media industry, when we look at some of the ad clients out there, like brands and marketers, when they're looking at AI to look at how they want to promote their products, they're looking at things like copy ideation. My brand message is this, and this is what I hope to get out about my brand. And then they're using those tools to create early prototypes of what those ad messages might be. And in some cases, create the ads themselves for images. Some research has said that some of these AI generated images can have brand recall, or, lift purchase intent to the same levels that some of the human generated images do. So that's really where we're seeing an impact from the generative AI tools, and we're also using it in product development. How can we make something that is pretty onerous to do? You have to go through multiple steps, a lot easier with an generative AI assistant.
Now, Ravi, what types of AI tools or platforms have you found most effective at Toyota in helping uncover new innovation opportunities at an enterprise level?
Yeah, I think since now everyone is talking about vibe coding is the one which I would say is, I mean, I would say we should be careful basically who the audience of vibe coding is. But I've been playing with vibe coding for quite a long now. I think with the recent new startups coming out, there's a new startup came out last 2 weeks back, which is backed by Y Combinator, is Emergent, where you just prompt, it automatically creates the entire. I mean, I have used it, and I've seen the technology that is backed by it. It's automatically creating website end to end using backend code as well, and the APIs and the backend databases as well as, and you click on just deploy if you like it within a minute. So for a team to do this is like it's gonna take a lot of time and then a lot of resources, a lot of efforts. But whereas this new emerging tools like Windsurf or Cursor or some of these Vivo Versal, so a lot of these are really really good to see that with our eyes. It's like 1 minute deployment. So that's where that's where it is. But the thing is, whenever it also develops, it also creates a lot of tech debt. So we need to be careful in generating this kind of products enterprise scale wide. So I would say for startups, yes, it's good to start, but for enterprises, I would say we would be not there yet, which means we can't just believe it in generative AI system that generates a code automatically and then deploy it to production and then give it and send it to production. Until we do a thoroughly testing, I think in the next future phase is testing will come into more picture because of all these generative AI tools. Whoever does a solid testing, that's where I would see is more opportunities.
I completely
Interesting.
agree, Ravi. I
Go
completely
ahead.
agree with
Yes.
that because there's like other tools as well, like Replit, right? So you got Replit and Lovable and the like, right? So this is my point about they don't necessarily give you the ideas, but with those tools, you can build apps really, really quickly, right? So it's like you just prompt it and it creates the app like boom, overnight. Things that would have taken armies of developers and months of writing requirements and going back and forth is like close your eyes, blink, and you've got this application. So the magic is no longer in the being able to code, is now being able to test and also being able to understand the client experience, right? So it's the human side of things becomes even more important, right? So because like the technical and the hardcore skills of innovation, to a large extent, AI can help with that heavy lifting, right? So it's our ability to first of all understand what the problem is to be
Oop. I think, Yemi, we lost your audio for some reason. I'm not certain what's going on. Well, let's keep moving on and we'll troubleshoot the audio on Yemi's side. We are here today, AI Talk. We're here with Christopher Whiteley, Ravi Chandu Umasetti, and Yemi Alusian. We're talking about unlocking your creativity and innovation with AI tools. If you have a question or a comment for our group, please feel free to pop it into the chat feature. We will attempt to get some of your comments and questions into the flow of the discussion today. Now, folks, let's move on to our third discussion point, and that is fostering cross-functional collaboration and fueling creative breakthroughs with tools in AI. A recent McKinsey study found that companies with strong cross-functional collaboration are 5 times more likely to innovate successfully with AI. Now, Ravi, how has AI changed the way different teams like engineering, design, business work together and innovate at Toyota?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of the business that impacted generative AI, especially is, I've been closely working with our research and development team at Toyota. So where, for example, I'm working on a project called Material Engineering Chatbot, where we are helping. So for example, you see a lot of Toyota cars across the globe. So every color that you see on Toyota car is we develop. It takes for us to develop 2 years, which means we do a lot of solid testing before we go to production. Now, we at Toyota, at Enterprise AI team, is trying to develop a lot of generative AI chatbots across Toyota between supply chain, between manufacturing and research and development and other sectors as well. Now, if you talk more about this paint peeling, like this R&D use case, which I'm mentioning about, is we have helped that particular respective team, material engineering team, to speed up their process. Let's say, for example, some of these agentic approaches that came out recently have really helped us gain a lot of attraction to the users. Where if the generative AI, we are introducing something called deep search, where if you click on the deep search, what it does is it'll try to explore. We use a reasoning models in the background, and then it'll try to go in deep of how we can able to find out this new colors based on the user prompts. So if a user asked a prompt saying, okay, can you help me? I'm trying to validate these colors. So we can able to mix these few lubricants together and then say, okay, this color may come up with. So generative AI is helping really extracting the information out of it and reducing the time of efforts to go to market. So that's really is key at Toyota, to be honest.
Now, Christopher, how about you? Can you describe a breakthrough at Comcast that wouldn't have happened without cross-functional input supported by AI?
Yeah, I'd say two things on it. First is that I kind of see evolution from AI being a personal productivity tool to more cross-functional tools that are being available. People initially using it for things like document creation or knowledge retrieval, but now are using things like AI note takers in meetings, have apps that might help like with product development and collaboration, and AI integrated into it so that it will give ideas and surface ideas from customer feedback that just might not have been surfaced before. So I'm seeing like new ideas that are coming into the product process surfaced by AI tools that might not have been done several years ago. And then I think like for something like an AI chatbot, in order to, if you're making it like a product that a customer would interact with, in order to really get it right, you need input from different parts of the organization. So let's say you were doing a website today, you'd need like design to have input into it. The same thing is you need like a design team for your Gen AI tool to comment on it. You need your operations team to weigh in. Having that cross-functional collaboration to create an AI tool will make a better product in the end.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that cross-functional collaboration. So incredibly important, as we have known through the years in terms of any kind of team work together. We have a comment or a question from Laura here. Laura, thank you for your comment today. Laura asks, in what ways can AI act as a bridge between different departments to unlock ideas that wouldn't have surfaced in siloed teams? Ravi, Christopher, what are your thoughts on Laura's question? Can we use AI in ways to foster cross-functional collaboration, or is AI just a tool by itself for the innovation process itself? Ravi?
Yeah, sure. I can dig it up. So I think AI is helping really. For example, I can take an example of at Toyota. What we're trying to do is we are trying to bridge gap between different teams. Let's say, for example, now we have a team called cybersecurity. We also have a team called application engineering team. So where these two teams really help across the organization to make sure that we are secure as well as we are well architectured. So what this team is trying to do is this team is trying to build a new chatbots that really helps enable the entire organization to follow the best practices between these teams. So these team is trying to bridge the gap between these respective different teams and making sure that we are following the best standards as well as best practices and making sure that we are secured by implementing this technology as well. So I think I would say AI is really helping a lot of teams to bridge gap between these bridge gap between this. But yeah, it's all again it's all based on Laura's domain as well as some of these expertise. But I would say AI is really helping enable them to use a lot of knowledge. So right now, I think if we use a lot of AI tools, we will be more in advanced in technology. That learning more, some of these advancements in AI.
Well, to follow up on a little bit of what Laura's digging into, I can get a sense that maybe Laura's in those teams that we're talking about, and frankly, a lot of folks are very skeptical about AI and its impact to their jobs and what they do. How do we address the skepticism and resistance within teams when introducing AI tools for creative work? Anyone?
Well, I think you take it head on, and it's a very important perspective to have. You should, approach any AI tool or product with a level of skepticism and really just see what it can and can't do. And for the things that it can't do, you determine whether or not you could improve upon that to make that whole tool better. But yeah, I mean, I think we've seen from things like just AI hallucinations and what Ravi was talking about before about code generators. You can't use the tools and then just leave them the way they are. It's more important than ever for people to have a very critical and analytical view of what the AI output is.
Well, we are here today with Chris Whiteley, Ravi Chandu Umadesetti, and Yemi Alusian. And folks, where has our time gone? We have reached the action item round of the program. I'm wondering if each of you can please provide us with one quick action item that our viewers can use to take advantage of the ideas and advice today. Yemi, do you have an action item for us?
The
Are
last
you with us?
question as well. I am with you. Can you hear me
There
okay?
we are.
Great.
Yes.
All right, cool. So I think it feeds into the last question as well. But the action item, I think, would be to encourage your teams, if you're not already doing it, to use AI as a at least as a thought partner, as a co-pilot to really crunch your ideas and to take different parts of the organization, data from different parts. And as long as, of course, there's no sensitive data, at least feed it through and ask it to see what patterns or trends it can find across your data. I think that's the first starting point of any kind of innovation ideas, right? Because you want to see what is hidden, what am I, because for most organizations, we don't need to necessarily create something brand new. We're sitting on gold already. It's really harvesting what that gold is. And this is where I think AI can help us, right? So it's taking all the data you have, provided, of course, you don't break any rules, right? And crunching that data with AI and asking it to find any kind of trends or patterns as the first starting point. Second would then be, once you see the patterns, prioritizing to see, hey, which one is going to be the lowest hanging fruit from my organization? And then where possible, again, using an AI tool to quickly prototype that idea, whether it's a Replit, Lovable, or the other tool that Ravi mentioned, to prototype it, test it, and see if it gains any kind of traction. If it does, then maybe we can invest more. So I feel like with good use of AI, you really reduce the cost of innovation because you can test ideas really fast and rapidly. Thank you.
That is Yemi Alusian, Program Director and Business Transformation Strategist at the Change Hive. Yemi, thank you so much for being with us today. Ravi, do you have an action item for us?
Yeah, I think every organization, every leadership needs to see AI as one of important factor across the organization. I would say, I think you have heard of Elon Musk Doge, right? So every company needs to have something called Doge that will go and see how we can able to do an automation across the teams, and then see whether we can able to automate a lot of things, and then bringing up the existing team members to upskill, so that also the company also survives, right? So that's where I think I would say we should have a strong team that looks at next decade of AI and then see what's coming up, and then we should be able to make sure that we are speeding up on the things across the organization using the AI, but also in making sure that they are secure while we are building the applications.
That is Ravi Chandu Umadsetti, Generative AI Technical Architect and Product Lead for Toyota North America. Ravi, thank you so much for being with us today. Now, Chris, do you have an action item for us?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the original article that we looked at, I would say look at your current KPIs. Do they reflect anything that you might want to accomplish as far as improving innovation within your organization, and think about how AI might assist innovation efforts within your organization. It's important to not boil the ocean, so you want to just start with an important product or process, decompose it and say, here are elements that could be improved by AI, and then do controlled tests with those pieces of the product or process to see what works and what doesn't.
That is Christopher Whiteley. Chris is Senior Director in Product Management Data Science at Comcast. Christopher, Ravi, Yemi, thank you so much for being with us today. What a great panel. Your perspectives and advice were spot on, so thank you so much, and I hope that we get a chance to talk again soon. And to everyone joining us today, thank you too. Join us next time on June 17th when we have another great panel of guests talking about keeping private data private, safe and smart AI deployment. That should be another great discussion. In the meantime, if you'd like to find me, you can do so on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there, so check me out. I'm Kevin Crane, and you can check out my weekly audio podcast, the Digital Transformation Podcast. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of AI Talk. And until next time, I'm Kevin Crane saying thanks for watching.